Good. Hi guys, Chris from Rope Skills 101. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about families of knots, derivatives of knots, and how different knots are derived from other knots. So it'll help you to understand how the more complex knots are derived from the simpler knots. So I'm going to use the most basic knot that pretty much anyone who's ever touched a piece of rope, or even whether it's their shoelaces or anything, most people will know this knot. It's the basic overhand knot. If you don't know it, you're going to know it now. So from this knot, it's basically what I would say is the root of all knots. Everything sort of derives from this knot. So what can we do with that knot? We can now create a variation of that knot called the double overhand. So instead of coming through the first time like we did before, we take a second wrap coming back towards my wrist, and then we feed the rope through both of these loops, cinch it up, and we have a double overhand. So you can see it's the same knot, but just with an extra little turn in it. And they're basically the same knot, just with an extra turn. So it's very simple. So you can see how the basic overhand knot has derived into something a little bit more complex. Some people call this a stopper knot. Stopper knots can be anything, but it's actually a double overhand knot. So let's take another derivative. I'm going to do it 3 times. So we're going to take 3 wraps, pass it through, and I do it like this because I can pinch the tail of the rope with my finger while I've let go with the other one, and then I'll pull it through, and we have a triple overhand knot. And you can tie this as many times as you like, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, etc. But it's all based on the overhand knot. Alright, so now we know what we can do with an overhand knot. We can start getting into more complex knots. So now I'm going to show you how to do a barrel knot. So what we do is create a bight of rope, but working with the tail of the rope, we pass it around just like we did before. Just need a little bit more tail there. I'm going to pass it around itself, the working part of the rope. I'm going to come around and tie a double overhand. Cinch her up. It's exactly the same knot, but what we've done is we've tied it back on itself. And with a carabiner, put the carabiner in here, and then we can cinch this up. The whole reason for a barrel knot is that once it's nice and loaded up, once it needs a bit of weight on it, it actually stops the carabiner from rotating within the bight, and therefore reduces any potential cross-loading onto the carabiner. So you can see how we've taken one very basic knot and we've turned it into another knot, which is then derived into another knot. So hopefully you're starting to see where I'm going with this. It's quite simple when you think about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that same principle of our overhand knot and turn it into some other knots. So what I'm going to do now is a single fisherman's. So we'll take 2 ends of the rope, and we're going to do almost the same thing that we did with the barrel knot. We're going to take this rope, this tail, and we're going to cross it around, feed it through, tighten it up, and do the same thing with the other tail. And then when we pull the 2 working ends together, we end up with a single fisherman's. Same knot, it's just an overhand tied back on another rope. So the single fisherman's is a bend, so it's obviously used for joining 2 ends of a rope together. Now another variation or derivative on that knot is the double fisherman's. So we're going to do exactly the same thing again. Instead of coming back through once, we're going to go through twice. So you can see if I pull this one out, it is just our basic double overhand. But what we've done is we've fed a tail through here, and then we can do the same thing again on this tail. So without even realizing it, just by learning the double overhand, you can see how that basic knot has derived into quite a few different knots. So now we've got our double fisherman's bend. You can create a triple version of this, a four wrap version of this. It's all based on the same knot. So basically where I'm sort of going with this is that you can see how one knot has derived into quite a few different versions of itself, just in different configurations. There's no real rocket science behind this. It really does come down to your own imagination then as to how you want to start merging or varying the way you tie that knot. So then that double overhand, the next variation in that family is now we can turn it into a bite. So we take a bite of rope and we do exactly what we did with the overhand knot, but now we're doing it with two strands of rope. So now we have an overhand on a bite. It's actually just a derivative of the standard overhand. Then we can take another derivative of it, but instead of coming back from underneath, we're going to come back around again and over the top. Now we have our figure of 8 on a bite. It's just a derivative of the overhand on a bite. Now we can take that another step further, and we'll do the figure of 9. So instead of coming in from over the top, we come back around again, back underneath, figure of 9. Just another derivative. We're just taking the same knot and taking it a step further. Now we'll do another variation on the overhand on a bite. We actually start off with our standard overhand on a bite, but now what we do is we're going to turn it into a bowline on the bite. So we pull the loop or the bite of the rope over, and we grab these two strands here, and we pull those up, cinch that up, and now we have a bowline on the bite with two attachment loops. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing, but with the next derivative. So slightly longer tail this time. We start off like we're going to tie the figure of 8, but before we cinch it up, we do exactly the same thing that we did on the bowline on the bite. So we pull the bite up over the top, and we grab these two strands in here, invert the knot, and then cinch her up. So now we have what's called as the fusion, or what some people might call the crash knot. This is actually my favourite knot, very useful knot. I use it for a wide range of things, but that's for other videos. So you can see how this one basic knot, the overhand, is just turning into quite a few other variants of that knot. So when someone invents a knot, they're really not inventing a knot at all. All they're doing is just taking a product which already exists, a rope. They're not creating a new knot. Knots already exist. Knots have been around for a very long time. They're just creating another variant on that knot, another derivative. So there isn't really any rocket science on it. We can take the bowline on the bite, we can take that a step further. You probably already know where I'm going to go with this. So we can take that we'll take the figure 9, and we can do exactly the same thing that we did with the bowline on the bite and the fusion. So we pull the bite up over the top, grab those first two strands, invert that tail all the way down, and now we have another knot. Now I don't have a name for this one, but it's something you can just come up with. You know, it's just fun. Make it fun. Come up with your own knots. Start merging different variances of knots and different families into different groups, and just start playing around. See what you can come up with. Have fun with it. Now I've created something I can't even untie. Here we go. You can really have a lot of fun with knots. You know, get a group of people together and just see what you can come up with. Another variation, and also a very common knot, which most people in the rope access industry would be aware of. And I won't tell you where I'm going with it, see if you can come up with it. So we start off with a figure of 8, but instead of passing the bite directly through these 2 loops, we pass like a double bite, and then, sorry, need a little bit more tail, longer bite on this one. We pull this one up over the top, like so. And we end up with the figure of 8 bunny ears. So you can see that it's just another variation on an existing knot. And you can do this with any range of knots at all. So again, have fun with it. Go crazy. Talk to your mates and see what knots you can come up with. You'll have a lot of fun with it. If you invent another knot, I'm sure someone's probably come up with it at some point in time. But like I said, just have fun with it. And if you're not sure whether you want to use it in the real life situation where it's load bearing or life saving, don't use it, but just have fun with it and see what you can come up with. Thanks a lot, guys.